Chandler working off of that jab early. Oh! Now a knee to the body for Charles and a right Chandler retrieves. Now Chandler is down! Charles, the lightweight champion!
From being hospitalized as a young boy to winning the UFC lightweight title, Charles Oliveira overcame his ordeal through his sheer will, making him one of the best MMA fighters the world has seen. While he is a beast inside the ring, there is another side to his persona that most fans don't know about. We will reveal the other side of the Brazilian fighter. Stick around as we delve in. There is no doubt that Charles is one of the best mixed martial artists to grace the octagon. His title defense against Dustin Poirier was spectacular, and his grappling skills were top-notch. Oliveira has been fighting the very best of the UFC from age 20, and he had an incredible skill for his young age. From his defeat against Paul Felder in 2017, Oliveira went on an 11-match winning streak before he was defeated by Islam Makhachev. During this incredible streak, he won the UFC lightweight title and defended it against the well-known Dustin Poirier. Although he was first stripped of the title due to being half a pound above the lightweight limit, he finished off Justin Garcia in the first round. Oliveira was undefeatable not because of skill alone, but his willpower to change the story of his community. He was born and brought up in the lowly favela of Sao Paulo in Brazil, where crime is the order. The hardships he faced made him make a vow that nobody would ever be able to beat him in an octagon, because life had already beaten him.
Essa aqui é minha avó, Dona Maria. Esse aqui é meu irmão, Emerson. Essa é minha tia, Regiane. Esse aqui também é meu outro irmão, Eduardo. Minha mãe, Osana. E meu pai, Toninho. Aqui, onde que minha mãe prepara a comida da gente, a cozinha, junto com o banheiro é um pouco pequenininho, mas dá pra gente. Agora aqui, o meu quarto, tipo assim, a maioria das coisas que tem aqui, eu consegui comprar com dinheiro das minhas lutas que eu ganhei, meu pai e minha mãe ajudam.
As if growing up in poverty wasn't enough, Charles battled with serious health issues as a child. He was diagnosed with rheumatic fever and heart murmur at age 7, after having serious body aches and mobility issues. Several doctors told him he would need a wheelchair for the rest of his life, so a career in any sport was a lost cause. Oliveira's mother, Osana, revealed that his mobility was so bad that he couldn't stand on his own. His parents didn't allow him to be in a wheelchair and decided he would practice sports. At that time, Oliveira hadn't discovered fighting. Instead, his passion was for soccer. Miraculously, his condition healed over time, and he was introduced to a Brazilian jiu-jitsu trainer at age 12. The trainer, Roger Coelho, gave free classes to the less privileged and got funded by his poor family selling street snacks and discarded cardboard. Within 2 months, Charles trained hard and became the Sao Paulo champion. His lowly upbringing in the Gauraha area enabled him to enter the workforce early in life. He recalled helping his mother serve cheese salad from a trailer as a young boy. He began his career in 2007 in his home country of Brazil, compiling a record of 12-0, with 6 knockouts and 5 submissions. He had, on 3 separate occasions, compiled multiple wins in a night. His first fight was in the amateur MMA event, Circuito Nacional de Vale Tudo Amador, against Rui Machado. Oliveira submitted him within 15 seconds of the first round with an armbar. Oliveira made his professional debut at the 2007 Predator Fight Championship promotion. The event was a one-night single elimination tournament where competitors would have to fight 3 times to be crowned the champion. He defeated Jackson Pontes in the first round via rear naked choke, which resulted in submission. And with that, he advanced to the second stage of the tournament. He defeated Viscardi Andrade in the second round of the tournament via total knockout, and advanced into the final round to face Diego Braga, whom he defeated via total knockout as well to win the tournament. Charles debuted at lightweight by defeating UFC fighter Mehdi Baghdad in 2008 at the first event of promotion Kauai Arena. He went on to defeat Daniel Fernandez and Elian Silva at Korea Fight, sealing his place as a professional fighter. He was finally signed into the UFC in 2010 after his incredible unbeaten run in his regional Brazil. He showed off his grappling skills obtained when practicing jiu-jitsu as a teenager in his first 2 UFC fights, and he won both by submission. Nicknamed Du Bronx due to his background, Oliveira is one of the longest-serving fighters still on the UFC roster at just 33 years old. He was the fans' favorite in his first 5 years for the promotion, as most of his fights ended in a finish. Part of Oliveira's victory comes from forcing his opponents to tap out stems from his length. Being tall isn't merely an attribute for striking exchanges, because Du Bronx uses it in grappling. He can sink in chokes from angles shorter limbs would struggle to reach. He is also known to have an eye for the opponent's back, unlike most fighters. He often uses aggressive ground and pound to trick opponents into exposing their backs, and the moment they do so, he traps them in a body triangle and starts searching for a naked choke. Oliveira finally got himself a main UFC event slot in 2015, but unfortunately lost against Max Holloway after suffering an esophagus injury. Everyone thought Du Bronx would come back stronger, but the defeat was the start of an awful run as he lost 3 of his next 5 matches. He was submitted by Anthony Pettis and Ricardo Lamas at 145 pounds, but rebounded against Will Brooks after moving up to lightweight, only to suffer another loss at the hands of Paul Felder. His fights have always guaranteed entertainment, but he was on a losing streak with no chance of a title run in the future. He took 6 months away from the octagon after he got humbled by Felder in late 2017. His time away to recuperate himself worked in his favor, as he won 5 straight fights when he returned in June 2018.
There's the tap. Charles Oliveira by submission.
He's going body triangle. It's like a backpack. Oh, now the right arm is under. Charles Oliveira.
Miller trying to fight off this choke.
Yeah, it's over.
There's the tap.
Wow.
Charles Oliveira does it again.
Wow.
Oh!
And a forearm shiver there from Oliveira. This is it. Who's letting it go? Charles Oliveira and the fight tamer with the Hail Mary, but look out! Trying for submission, and there is the tap. He continues to pile onto his. Oh! Big right from Oliveira. Hammer fist. Nick Lentz is down. Charles Du Bronx Oliveira.
Banking an additional $200,000 on bonuses for those wins, Oliveira was on a hot streak at 155 pounds, and there was no slowing down. He faced Kevin Lee in a big step-up fight behind closed doors due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He submitted the former interim title challenger. Oliveira picked up his biggest career win with a unanimous decision over Tony Ferguson at UFC 256. He utilized his dominant grappling throughout the 3-round bout to build an insurmountable lead on the scorecard. Du Bronx couldn't ask for more better start to the fight, and he dominated Ferguson with impressive boxing combinations. He nearly ended the fight when he got a full extension on an armbar attempt. Ferguson was saved by the bell. The other 2 rounds were also the same. So the one-sided decision win set up a fight with Michael Chandler for the vacant UFC lightweight title after Khabib Nurmagomedov vacated the belt.
Crowning of a new, undisputed UFC.
Chandler started strong in the first round, pulling on a guillotine choke in response to a takedown attempt from Oliveira. But the grappling had little impact on Du Bronx as he soon had Chandler's back. Getting back on his feet, Chandler released a barrage of punches, and this time they hit the target. Fortunately for Oliveira, the match was stopped and he lived to see the second round. The round was all he needed. Oliveira delivered a perfectly timed left hook that set up the stunning come-from-behind win on Chandler.
Everything on the top. Chases him down. I mean, everything. And big
The fight symbolizes his entire childhood as he fought through adversity to become a fighter. He went on to defend his title against Dustin Poirier to extend his unbeaten run to 10 fights. Poirier was on a hot streak and was expected to be crowned the new champion of lightweight when he faced Oliveira at the UFC 269. However, it wasn't meant to be. Poirier had dropped Oliveira with a punch in the opening seconds of the first round before Du Bronx rose back to his feet, and both men started landing significant strikes on themselves. Early in the second round, Oliveira attacked quickly as he tried to drag Poirier to the ground. As he sneaked to the back, Poirier bucked him off and dumped him to the canvas. Oliveira used his wrist control to pull Poirier down, but ended up in his guard where Poirier landed elbows and blows on him till the round finished. Vox submitted him with a rear naked choke. He grabbed Poirier and jumped on his back, then worked for the choke and switched grips until it was locked in.
Oliveira won this fight tonight. Perhaps chief among them, his willingness.
This is more like my tongue just went on a super powerful battery. And it just, my entire body, it was crazy. So yeah, it was perfect shots, you know, perfect time, one or the other. And yeah, it was
Hits him again. Good clean right.
This is crazy. Absolutely nuts. Through half a round. Cage got to work on the leg kick, landing the right hand. Being knocked out with a right for Oliveira. Switches over to grips. That is gonna do it.
Oliveira lost his title in a bout against Islam Makhachev. The Russian pulled off a submission win over him. After spending much of the first round defending and trying to threaten with submissions off his back, Oliveira tried to keep the fight on the feet in the second round. That tactic looked like it was paying off until he was decked by a punch from Makhachev, who wasted no time jumping on his opponent, locking in the choke and forcing the tap for Oliveira. 8 months after the defeat, Oliveira returns to action to fight Beneil Dariush in a match setup so he can reclaim his title. Meanwhile, Dariush seeks his long-awaited title opportunity.
He's talking to John now.
After coming out victorious in his past 8 bouts, and it was dashed away by Do Bronx. Oliveira didn't forget his community. He went as far as remodeling his previous home in the favelas. Despite being a celebrity, he is proud of his roots and vows to remain a part of the neighborhood. He is a beast on the octagon and a saint off the stage. In an interview with Brazilian MMA legends, Oliveira gave his opinions on life growing up in a favela. He mentioned in the interview how the lifestyle and culture hurt the youth and how his friends have succumbed to the lows of life. I lost my friends in crime. Unfortunately, some died and others are in prison. I still know people who live off of it. They chose it, he stated. The Vicente de Carvalho favela in Guaraja is known as the most poor and crime-infested part of the town. So it isn't a surprise most folks succumb to bad influences. During the Ironberg podcast, the former UFC champion credited his parents, especially his mother, for pushing him in the right direction. The favela poses many dangers to kids living there. With that in mind, his parents pushed him to participate in as many sports activities as possible to keep him from all of the bad influences. Thanks to my mother, I chose the right side. We chose the right side, all my family, my brothers. Du Bronx also gave his view on the belief that sport saves lives. He stated that people, thanks to any sport, not necessarily a combat one, get a better life, a better body, and a better spirit. This might be the major reason he decided to give back to his community by founding the CB Institute. It is a non-profit organization whose aim is to empower the less privileged children and youth in Guaraja. The organization's agenda is based on providing them with free-of-cost MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training and mentorship programs, which will make them have a more meaningful life and do away with violence and drugs. Apart from that, Oliveira was seen in a video carrying packs of food in his community. This happened a few days before Christmas, and he is reported to be distributing food to put smiles on many faces. His fellow fighter, Poirier, also known for his charity work, was reported to have donated $20,000 to Oliveira's charity course after losing to the Brazilian.
You pick where the money goes.
The champion said he would use the money for his community as always. This act showed that the two fighters respect each other despite the fight. Du Bronx proves he has the heart of a champion. Coming from one of the worst backgrounds, he understands he has to win in every fight so he could help his people.
He might